my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, I did try, and the year of the stitch-up, I did try and be kind. I picked Gone in 60 Seconds last week, thinking, you know what, Dave, he might go fucking easy on me, but no, we haven't done that. This is your pick this week, my friend, and we're going back to 1984. It stars Helen Hunt and Tim Thomerson, Dave, and it actually ended up being a franchise, which is absolutely blown my mind after I watched this movie. This one is a futuristic time travel movie. I don't even know what it is, but it's called Trancers, Dave. So I know we talked about it briefly last week. How do you even come across a movie like this? Because I've never seen this VHS cover in the shops, ever.
I think it must have been on TV or something, and I've copied it off the TV. I don't remember, getting it out for rental or anything. It was just one of those crappy movies that, you taped off the TV and then just end up watching a bunch of times. And I think I remember, like, Dad just being a bit of a bell end, and it was occasionally, like, he'd get some water and put it all in his hair, and it'd be like dry hairs for squids, but it was like, I don't think my dad liked the movie, but I was watching it, and so he was just taking the piss out of how ridiculous it all was. All this stuff, the sword and sorcery stuff, the sci-fi, I just fucking loved all the genre movies. And so I wouldn't say I loved this one, but it was definitely one that I've watched a few times. And it's been in the back of my mind for a while that you would fucking hate it. And I've had some misfires, like with the stitch-ups recently. So Gore, of course, was the New Year's Day. That's what kicked off the year of the stitch-up. The Barbarians, rather. You ended up loving that one. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to go into the sci-fi well and really test that theory of whether you do hate sci-fi or not. But I'm taking, Chris, probably you've never watched this one before.
No, you know what, Dave? It's almost like you know me. No, I've never. I was very confused by last week's trailer because I thought it was two different characters, and it's simply, now that I know the plot and everything, it's simply that, to live in the future, you just slick your hair back and you're a completely different person. Because it did confuse me in the trailer. I didn't realize you were the same person. But no, I've never seen this movie. I like the time travel stuff, so I can't say hand on heart that I wouldn't have watched this if this was on, but it would have had to be a recommendation. There's no way, going off that VHS cover I can see now, which has got Jack Def coming through the screen. There's no way I'd have picked that, Dave. I'd have gone, fucking no chance.
The other reason I know I've never seen this before is you look at the VHS cover and you're like, well, that looks nothing like anything in the movie.
That's like the AI generating stuff now, isn't it? You can't be fine.
It's like the old Willy Wonka job in Glasgow.
Yeah, oh, fucking hell, yeah. It doesn't look like anything, does it? It looks like a horror movie, doesn't it, that, really? It's a great way to talk on an audio podcast, like what it is, but it's basically, it's got like the solar system in the background with the stars, with a door, and Jack Def walking through it with a bit of light sort of thing. But that doesn't, and it doesn't even look like him anyway. It doesn't even look like Tim Thomerson. So,
see, I'm looking at a different one.
Oh, I've got.
Hold on. Let me share my screen a second. It's like it's almost like he's Street Hawk or something. He's got this futuristic helmet
I saw that
on.
one. Oh my God. Yeah, it does. It looks like or like a Starship's Trooper. It looks like a Star Wars type thing. Or Battlestar Galactica, doesn't it? It doesn't look like what we get as a movie. That is
doing a bit of a James Bond pose.
Oh my God, that is proper false advertising that day. That is terrible.
He also looks about 10 years younger.
Yeah, he does. Well, we'll talk about fucking Tim Thomerson when we get into it, Dave. Fucking hell.
So, Chris, since last week, I have been chomping at the bit to talk to you about this one. Shall we get into our trailer?
Yay, yeah, let's go.
I'm Jack Death. I'm a trooper in the 23rd century. Jack Death, Angel City PD. May I see your stats?
What did I do?
Under Section 7 of the Penal Code, the Council authorized me to administer you a transfer suspect examination.
You can't give me a TSE without a warrant.
I got your warrant right here, pal.
Okay. I don't want any trouble.
Well, that's my job is hunting transfers.
I got nothing to hide.
Finding them, negative, and singeing them.
Look out!
Of course, sometimes they find me first. Then it's a little more complicated. How do you know Whistler's location?
We monitored a line disruption in Los Angeles, December 1985. Van Zant, Ash, and I all had ancestors in the city then.
If you think I'm bringing that scum up the line, you got the wrong trooper.
Unless you stop Whistler, everything the Council has accomplished for the last 40 years will count for nothing.
Okay, let's say I believe this. You're a cop from the future and you're chasing this guy Piper.
Whistler.
Why doesn't he just turn you into one of these zombies? Or me?
Trancing only works on squids, people with weak minds, easily controlled. Lena, I'm from another time, another world. I don't even know what you people eat for lunch.
Okay, I got fried rice, egg rolls, and beef chow mein.
Beef? You mean like from a cow? I thought it was rough in the 23rd century. I didn't know how hot it could get.
Jack?
How's my tan? No, it's getting hotter all the time.
Jack?
I guess I just attract a certain element no matter what century I'm in. This way, mister! Anyway, I gotta run now.
I want to ride with the lady.
Over here, Ashby!
And he's never even been here before. Trancers.
Jack Death is a retired police trooper in the 23rd century who has been called back into service to assist in hunting down Martin Whistler, a criminal mastermind who uses psychic powers to turn people into mindless trancers and carry out his orders. Death can identify a tranced individual by scanning them with a special bracelet. All trancers appear as normal humans first, but once triggered, they become savage killers with twisted features. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, Dave, I mean, it's an easy layup, but you've got, trancers, fucking chances. You were just definitely chancing this one. You're like I say, watching the trailer and seeing him with the slick back, fucking gel wedged to his head hair, which I have actually in the past when I was younger had that haircut. The proper. I always had the curtains, but I have in certain times proper gelled it back when you go into town. You're almost looking like someone out
Steven
of American
Seagal.
Psycho, just Steven Seagal, American Psycho. This movie's only an hour and 76 minutes, an hour and 16. And you know what, Dave? I am so glad it's an hour and 16. There's about 5 versions on YouTube. You can speed it up if you're that desperate to watch it again. But I think what it is, Helen Hunt is a well-respected actress, so it's one of her first movies. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jack Death looked about 60. They've called him Jack Death and they spell death with D-E-T-H. Just put the A in. It's not copyright. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And this is pure. This feels like a Comics in Motion. This feels like an old school Comics in Motion podcast that we would do. Where you would throw this in front of me and go, this is a comic book series, whatever it is. It feels like a comic book movie, doesn't it? It does feel old school like that. Like it is something we would have definitely covered. But I think Jack Def, right? Tim Timmerson, he's supposed to be 38, 39 when he's done this movie. Fuck me, David. I mean, I'm 46 now. There's no way I even look like that. Both of us, I don't know whether it's because we're in 2025, you look after yourself better. He looks about 60, doesn't he? He does. I'm not lying. He looks like he's had a fucking paper round and half, that guy. He looks like he's been delivering papers all the way along the Great Wall of China or something. He's been going for about fucking 50 years. He looks so old. Well, then Helen Hunt is 21 in this. This is fucking bullshit. He's fucking really... But you can see at certain points she's got to kiss him and she's like... This is like kissing my fucking granddad, you know what I mean? Or my dad, whatever. It's fucking weird. I'm sorry, but it is. It's fucking strange. So anyway, as a movie and a concept, I get on board with the time traveling element of it because I tell you why, Dave. I might be wrong, but this has similar beats to the computer game Assassin's Creed because it's a time traveling game where they go back with the ancestors and they go down the bloodline and stuff, especially the first one of that. So. And I'm not a big fan of the Assassin's Creed games, but this definitely feels like that, if that makes sense.
I'd go as far as to say Assassin's Creed absolutely stole from this franchise.
Yeah, honestly. Same idea. Same idea, isn't it? Same concept.
Well, a good idea is a good idea forever. As the great man once said.
I'm doing the fingers now, David. I'm doing the fingers. Yeah.
But yeah, it is... Okay, so back to the age gap thing. I think it was just how it was in the 80s, wasn't it?
No.
I mean, The thing is, we were talking before we started recording, weren't we? But 38 is just mind-boggling because he does not look 38. He definitely looks older than that. What I would say is when he first goes back in time and he's got the floppy hair, he's almost doing talking about other franchises like Assassin's Creed, but I mean Quantum Leap, that first moment when he comes back and like he's looking at himself in the mirror, the fact that it's the same actor doesn't throws you off a bit, but it's very Quantum Leap, isn't it? But he did look a little bit younger there, but then as soon as he slicks back the hair and everything, it's like he does look about 60. And it is just wrong with the some of the love scenes. I'd kind of forgot that whole love aspect. When you're a kid and watching these things, you don't really... I don't think you pick up on those things as much. And it was a bit like, ooh, that's not quite right. Like even the first moment, because Helen Hunt's character has obviously been with whoever Jack Def's ancestor was the night before.
The reporter.
She's just there, sort of topless, looking out the window and shit.
Yeah. Artistic, Dave. Artistic. Like, just stand there, get your knockers out. It'll look great, that. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, there's only men on the set. It's fine. No problem.
Well, apparently he did recommend Helen Hunt. He'd worked with her before. And
I bet he had.
This was engineered. Let's put it that way. But I thought the introduction of it. I mean, they get straight into it, don't they? I didn't say about it in the intro, but obviously in the diner scene, you get to see what a transfer is. He's speaking to the bloke, and it ends up being the waitress in the diner, and so you get to experience what one of these transfer things are, and you get to meet like his boss, the grumpy boss, like Art LaFleur. Used to be in MASH and stuff, didn't he? And so I didn't quite get what he gave up his job for. I watched it twice and I was like, I still don't really understand it. But for plot reasons, he walks away from the Force, and you get to see that apocalyptic future, don't you? I mean, it looks like it's some sort of nuclear wasteland. Everything's underwater, but he's just happily going for a swim and stuff. And, I just love the whole, just everything about it feels that 80s sci-fi, that old-looking, futuristic look and feel to it. So, yeah, I must admit, it wasn't just thinking of you watching this and throwing at a Dave dartboard that was making me enjoy it. I was genuinely enjoying watching this movie.
Well, you say about Art LaFleur, Dave. You cannot say that about him. He is Sergeant de Graaf in one of the greatest martial arts movies ever that we have covered. And he's one of my favourite Van Damme ones. He's Death Warrant Dave. He's the guy in the prison.
Yes.
He's the prison officer, like the main prison guy in it, you know. Yeah, he's great. He's in, fucking hell, he's in the second one of this, Transfers 2 as well. Oh my God. But,
actually, he's in Cobra as well, just looking.
Yeah, Cobra, yeah. You know, there's actually a bit of there's actually, you've probably read this in the trivia, but there's a bit of there's a Tommy Wiseau fucking reference, Dave, as well. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah,
No.
Yeah, there's something, I'd read it, so what's to do with like, there's it's the 2018 music video for Scary Love by The Neighbour. It's a homage to the opening diner scenes of Trancers. The Jack Def analogue is played by Tommy Wiseau.
Right.
There you go, Dave. So, yeah, the legend still carries on. But no, I think...
what a great story.
Yeah, well, I'd say, you know what, I'm going to segue. Yeah. Well done there, Chris. A bit of trivia. You know what I'm going to segue into, and I've just seen it, actually, as I was just double-checking IMDb, is Bridget Jones, Dave, the new one. I can't believe I'm even going to put these two together. I'm talking about the age difference. So I've just watched the new Bridget Jones. I don't know if you've seen it, right? But because... I'm not adverse to having a bit of work done myself, whatever. If someone needed doing, if you had the money anyway, I'm not adverse to that. So I don't judge anybody if you want to adjust your looks, teeth, hair, whatever you do, body. I honestly, I would probably walk around if I had the money like a fucking walking Barbie fucking Ken or something. Yeah, so one of them. I won't have that. I'm not thinking. If it makes you happy, then go for it. However, Dave, and there was always going to be however, Renée Zellweger now, because she's had so much work done, she's 55 in real life, and she's still doing the shtick, the Bridget Jones shtick. I didn't think this new one was as good, but she's like copping off with people who are younger than her, right? And one of the lads in it, Dave, you say about that, Renée Zellweger's 55, she gets off with a young lad who's got to be 20, right? So there's 35 years there, right? I'm not saying she's picked that, it's all part of the story and all that. But because she's had all this work done, you can't tell her expression, so you can't tell whether she's fucking happy, sad. She just constantly looks like she's fucking constipated, if I'm being honest, all the way through the movie. Like, she's just that silly, weird, like, confused look thing. And we've watched the other movies recently, but that is we're calling Tim Thomason out, but honestly, the fucking one I was sat there going, Sam, this is just wrong. She's got to be 30 years on this lad, and they're still pulling it out the bag. But it's exactly what the men did in the 80s and 90s, didn't they? And nobody batted an eyelid. So I'm not calling Renée Zellweger out at all, but it's weird to see when I watched it this last weekend and I'd watched this, I was like, wow, you'd never see that now, the difference in the mental, because you wouldn't, it's not right. But in this film, for the context of it, great. And let's be honest, Dave, Chris has always talked about Helga and that as a young, if I was single, 17, 18-year-old, and, someone was like, look, just come with me and I need to have a word. Dave, I would never have, refused that offer. Let's be honest. I don't think anybody would.
We are equal opportunities lectures.
Exactly, Dave. You've got to. You've got to. But something I mean, it was interesting watching Bridget Jones and seeing that age gap, which we always talk about, but always in the films we cover, it's the man to the woman, and sometimes the girl. I mean, she's 21 in this. It's not right, but there you go. Just a weird segue there, Dave. I don't know how the hell Bridget Jones has ended up on our podcast, but there you go.
For some reason, my mind went to Bridget Nielsen. Just when you mentioned Helga, when you start, exactly Helga. When you started talking about Renée Zellweger, I was like, oh wait, Bridget Jones. So yeah, I've not always had a new one, but I probably will do at some point. But getting back to Trancers, Chris, because I know you're thirsting for that. Did you spot another cameo? The guy who played Santa Claus.
No?
Did you spot him, the guy with the beard? And he was like, welcome to the future, Jack Death, or whatever, when he does get killed off. It's a guy called Pete Shrum, and he was one of the bikers in Terminator 2.
Oh, he's not the one he throws out the window, is
the one with the shotgun.
Yeah. Oh, the shotgun, yeah. You can't you take the bike, son. Yeah. Fucking hell, Dave. That's a couple. And you've missed a trick with this, because this is a Christmas movie. I can't believe you put this on in fucking February and March. That is on March when this comes out. That is terrible, Dave.
I know. I did think that. I thought, oh, I fucked up here. But yeah, definitely. I think you could argue this one being a Christmas movie.
Yeah. You know what I want to ask you? Why? Because obviously they go 21st century goes back to 1985, so we know when we watch Back to the Future, Doc Brown is talking about the flux capacitor in it, and he puts the in the time machine, in the DeLorean, and that's where he ends up. It all coincides with Marty's mum and dad getting together at the Champion on the Sea dance and all that stuff. But it's also, there's a reason. But is there? I couldn't work. I didn't feel that. I mean, the dialogue's fucking terrible. But is there a reason why he's gone back to 1985, or is it just they've randomly picked out because that guy's gone back to 85? Whistler, the baddie.
Mainly because the movie's made in 1984.
Well, yeah, we know that, but yeah. But I mean, sometimes we need a fucking bit of plot thing to say this is why we've gone back.
I think there was some kind of plot contrivance where they said, it gets more fuzzy, it becomes more unpredictable the further back you go. So that was realistically, that was as far back that they could go. But it was basically because it was made in that year. And it's cheaper, isn't it? They if they go to modern day, they don't have to spend as much on props and effects and stuff.
No, but again, like you said, the VHS covers this fucking Starship Trooper cyborg type movie. But we've got some fucking bloke who is a reporter, that Jack Deff's descendant's just a reporter, isn't he? He's got like the floppy hair, he's got the grey and all that, and now he's like Jack Deff in 85. So I think the idea, I'll be honest, is great because I do love a good time travel movie. You go back and they do things. I do like that. Like even Endgame, I loved all that. I was watching it the other day. I love that bit when Tony Stark goes to sea and he bumps into his dad. But then Tony Stark gives his dad the saying that his dad used to tell Tony, but Tony didn't know. It's weird, you know what I mean? So it's like the time travel aspect of it all, even though I love it when he says like it's not Back to the Future, you know what I mean? Like the whole time. But I do like that, being able to go back. Life on Mars is one of my favourite TV shows. Go back to the 70s, Manchester, and having the areas that they cover and knowing that was like when my parents grew up and my grandparents were still alive and all. It's an era. But then being a big technophobe and that people are like, it was great when we were young. And I'm thinking that would just fill me with fucking dread. If I woke up now in 1974 without no phone, no PlayStation, no Xbox, no PC, Dave, I don't give a fuck what people said. There's only so many times I can play fucking kick-ups in the back garden. I would be fucking bored out of my tree. And I'm 46. I mean, if I'm playing kick-ups at 46, there's something wrong. But yeah, I couldn't think of anything worse, I think, now. I am so lucky to live in this timeline for a lot of things. Some say not, but for me personally, I think I'm happy with the way I've gone from that younger age to now. I love the technology. That's my thing. So yeah, I don't think I could do it, but yeah, I do. I love a good time travel.
Trying to search through the woods for a copy of Razzle.
Exactly, Dave. What the fuck would I do? That Pamela Anderson screensaver took about 3 weeks to fucking load. I can't fucking. That was in the 90s, 95, 96.
Yeah, AOL modem.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking ridiculous. And then at the end of it, no, I'm not even going to say it on this podcast. I was going to say, you think you see Pamela Anderson from the top, and then the bottom is not what was advertised. Well, they're for WhatsApp, them sort of videos, Dave. But anyway, carry on. You fucking know exactly what I'm talking about.
Let's think about the time travel rules, because you mentioned Back to the Future there. So, and Doc Brown, I think he was one of the greatest time travel demonstrations, because he somehow gets an infographic onto the chalkboard, and explains to us, you go back in time and you've changed something, which spews another timeline. Whereas you mentioned Endgame there, and that took a different tack. It basically said you've created another splinter. You've set something off, but what was it Hulk says? You've gone into the past, so now the future is your past, or your past is your future, or something like that. It plays with the rules. This one, I can't wrap my head around because what they've done is, so they go back and they want to kill off the ancestors, right, of this committee. But it doesn't create another timeline. So that person has never existed in the future. They were never born. They never went to school, grew up, got a job at the committee or whatever. But when they disappear in the future, I guess it is a bit like the Back to the Future picture, isn't it? Whereas brother and sister just start disappearing.
Yeah.
people in the future just disappear, but everyone around is like, oh crap, you know, they've disappeared. But they'd have never known that they were there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you played. You're right. That's you're totally right about time traveling. It never works sometimes in the movies. Like these loops in it, isn't there? Where you've got to, as you say, dispel the legal. Right? Okay, we've just got to go with it.
Yeah, you've got to suspend the disbelief. But I'm pretty sure even at the time watching it as a kid, I was like, oh, this doesn't quite make sense. And I was more of a subscriber to the Back to the Future, you know, and it'd be really funny, wouldn't it, if we were living in a world where Biff actually just fucking kept hold of the almanac. Seems like we're living in that fucking world, to be honest.
And started, running for president, you mean? Yeah.
But I tell you, one of the really small thing, right, which is not like the whole lore of the time travel bit, one of the other bits I do remember as a kid that really bugged me is when Jack Death is explaining to Helen Hunt or Lena, and they're in the car, and he's saying about the squids. He's explaining what the squids are, and they don't go. It's almost like the Jedi, isn't it? It only works on the weak-willed. Where he's driving, he's so clearly on a truck or something, because the steering wheel is literally throwing from left to right. The car would be all over the place, but it's not. It's just driving straight. And even as a kid, I thought, that is ridiculous. Why did no one on set say, can you just, adjust the steering wheel a little bit? I guess he's thinking of his lines and thinking of, all the dialogue and the acting bit. And his hands are just sort of doing something weird.
Yeah.
But did you pick up on that?
Yeah, Dave, come on now. Not just that, but like you say, the physics of it. And also, what the fuck's going on with them bikes, Dave? You talk about the car. Why? I said this last week in this trailer. Why would you use a scooter? And I know it's from the future. Why would you use a scooter as a getaway thing? He's like that piss take on, say, Family Guy or something, where you go like, fuck you, motherfucker, and then they go on the slowest fucking contraption, like one of them, like, little wheelchair things, and they're right next to them, aren't they? And it's like, oh, that worked for you, didn't it? It's ridiculous, this movie. I mean, it's ridiculous anyway. The concept of time and everything is, but that's what makes me laugh. It actually made me laugh watching it, because you've got cars everywhere, but they go off on these fucking 125cc mopeds that probably go about 20 miles an hour at the most. It's fucking bizarre. Well, not even 125, 50cc, they'd be a right bag of shit. And they've picked it. It's not like, say, is it Judge Dredd, where he's got the bikes, and we've covered it, didn't we? And they're basically Harley Davidsons, aren't they? They're like the cruisers, but they've got like all the plastic on, like Back to the Future with the Mustangs and that, where they cover them for the future in 2015, don't they? The flying cars and all that stuff. Yeah. In this, they're just literally mopeds that fucking a pizza delivery guy would have. Oh, it's ridiculous. But I think you're right. I think because he's concentrating on so many things, going back to that, it doesn't look right at all, does it? It doesn't go with it or anything. And there's bits in this though, Dave, where 1 minute, like, I keep saying Helen Hunt, but a character, Lena, is talking to Jack Death, and the next minute, and one of them at the end, she's on the building, and there's no reason why she's on the building. They're kissing, and then she's on a building getting like put in a headlock by fucking the baddie, Wesling, whatever he's called. There is some really bad cutting. I don't know whether it been an hour and 15, whether there was a longer version. I mean, I'll never watch the longer version. But, there is some really strange, like, editing decisions in this movie, which sort of ruin whatever story we're supposed to be following, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does get a bit frayed at the end, if I'm honest. I feel like the first half of this movie is better, where you're just getting all the lore and the setup and everything. But lots of little things that really don't make sense. And I don't mean little nitpicks, like big gaping things. Like they go around, don't they? So Jack Death goes around initially to one of the ancestors, but he's already been turned into a trancer. It's like the gym guy, he's already a trancer. And then he chucks him in the sunbed sort of place, capsule or whatever, which he seems to be okay to touch, but it burns his jacket. And then Helen Hunt comes and rescues him. And for some weird reason, this trancer's just killed themselves. Like, for no reason other than to give Helen Hunt an easier way to come and rescue Jack from being suntanned too much. It's just very, very bizarre. And it feels like, just that rush through script.
Yeah, and I think, and honestly, Dave, I could see this being remade now. I think with the technology, there's a definitely. Honestly, I'm not just saying it's the movie. This movie's fucking terrible, but I think there is a weird charm about it, if that makes sense as well. I didn't hate it because it was just so silly, like the fucking zapping with the laser guns and all that, and the concept of time. Yeah. But there is definitely something there. Obviously, it spawned sequels, which is unbelievable. When I watched this, I thought, well, we'll never see this again. And then I'm on Wikipedia and IMDb, and I'm like, holy shit, there was 2 sequels, and there was some short movies, and there was the talk of it being remade. So I think you could definitely do something with this concept. It's just how you would pull it off in 2025. I mean, like pulling things off there. So I don't know. You could possibly do it, but no, there is something there.
Yeah, definitely. And a weird little thought tangent I just had there as you were saying that. I mean, I'm slightly disappointed that you found some charm in it, but I know why I do. And I one of the things I think back to as a kid, Chris, is we were in a shit school in fucking St. Helens at the end of the day, right? And so if for whatever reason, I don't know, the teachers didn't have a training plan or class plan or whatever, they'd ended up sticking on what was probably the only fucking video they had, which was the Railway Children. I don't know, it just multiple times I seem to watch this shit. I could not. I hate that fucking movie because it just reminds me of just being at school and being forced to watch it. Whereas you can watch, outside of school, you can watch other things like this about these fantastical time travelers and this mad, these mad laser guns and all that stuff. I always said like Star Wars was the pinnacle for me growing up, and this is definitely not Star Wars. But, this is why I kind of like those movies. It's just such a contrast to these other, kids' movies that you were forced to watch around that time.
No, and you're right, because this is like the sort of, especially for you growing up, it's like the proper sci-fi, like this sort of movie. This is one of the ones, just, pick a movie and this looks interesting. And the Starship Trooper thing on the front would have just dragged you in. Star Wars, everything, definitely. Yeah. Like say, for me, I'd have just gone, not a fucking chance. Like, but if it had been on TV and I'd caught, say, the first 5 minutes, I probably would have watched it. Yeah, it's not terrible. I just think the fact that, like, Jack is just shit, really. He's and
he just gets his arse handed to him most of the time, doesn't he?
Shit all the time, and then there's a brilliant chase scene at the end. I'm talking about the mopeds, but there's a bit where they end up in the middle of all them like hobos, don't they, and the homeless people, and they fall down and they're talking, him and Lena, but then they're chasing, or they're getting chased, but he's got enough time he's being chased by like Wisdom and that to, courteously get her hands and pull her down off the step, Dave, as they run in slow motion. But the next minute, when they get on the fucking mopeds, he's firing back at them and they're firing at him and missing, and they get off dead quick. But there's this weird chase scene where she obviously can't jump down, or she's not confident. And he like, what you would do if it was your nan or whoever, and you were like, yeah, come on. Or me and Sam are doing something, you've got to step down from somewhere, and you're like, I'll let me hold your hand as you come down. It just took me out of that bit at the end. The jeopardy of him being chased and potentially being killed was just sort of like, right, lads, just hang on a minute while I just be the gentleman and just let us step down off this ledge here. That'll be fine, that. It's a weird little, it's only something probably I would notice, but it was something so silly. But...
Well, it is Christmas, it's probably a bit icy on the ground.
Well, Yeah, that's true, Dave. That's true. And obviously, you've got legends like, Sand with muscles around there. Hulk Hogan could have been there with his fucking pellet gun. But no, I think the end of the movie just falls off a cliff at this point. From that point on, it's no real jeopardy, is there? And also, ultimately, Whistler, Detective Whistling, as he's called in the future, he just comes out of the fucking snap, done. He's like, where am I?
Yeah.
Where am I? And that's the end of it. And then it's obviously the vials have been, we can get Jack Death back to the future. He's only got one. So he has to stay, doesn't he, Dave, as the hero, but in the shadows, Dave, his boss is there, who's in the body of a young girl, which again is fucking weird. Well, there you go. Let's say, that is definitely Quantum Leap levels. Maybe Quantum Leap was inspired by this, Dave. I don't know. Bizarre.
It could be. I mean, I feel like in my head, Quantum Leap was more kind of early 90s. So
it was. I love that show.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like
Loved
Ziggy it. And I'm just looking 1989. Quantum Leap started.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, it could absolutely have inspired this one as well. I mean the thing is, like, it's very problematic, isn't it? Going back and starting like a sexual relationship with someone way in the past, because you don't know if they're part of your ancestral line as well.
Well, yeah,
it could be Jack Death's great-great-great-grandmother or something.
Well, yes. I mean, is that illegal, though, Dave? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look at Marty with his Calvin Kleins, Dave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rain was ready to risk it all, wasn't she?
She was.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always, as much as I love Back to the Future, that scene's always like, it's
wrong, isn't it? It's
really
wrong.
See it now. You wouldn't see it now at all, would you? But there you go. You know what I mean? It's bizarre.
Mum was really thirsty for a fucking son, but anyway, still a great movie.
I'm sure there's movies out there for that, Dave. But anyway, let's move on. Anything else before we get into the scores, Dave?
Just the portrayal of punks again. Just like the punks are the 80s punks are just the villain for everything, aren't they? And so it always makes me smile when I just see that they took a real beating from 80s movies, didn't they, the old punks?
Fucking brilliant. Yeah, they're just getting levered, weren't they? They always look dead mean, and they always end up getting levered, don't they? Always. But no, honestly, interesting movie you've picked this week. Really is, because I didn't know where to go, but it felt, Dave, like we were stepping back into comics in motion watching this one.
Yeah, and there are comics, I can't remember if I mentioned earlier, but there are comics that, obviously the movie came first, but it does have that genre feel, doesn't it? I think I haven't read them, but I can imagine it translates quite well into the comics.
Probably better, I would have thought. A bit more freedom, a bit more realism in the comics.
Yeah, the effects would be better. And like you say, if you had picked this up at the video store with that Starship Troopers outfit on, I think you'd be wanting to take it back under the Trade Descriptions Act, wouldn't you? It's just got a fucking flasher mac on.
But Dave, look at me with Wet Nurses 2. I thought that was an instructional video regarding like how to wash your hands. I didn't know what I was getting into, did I? You know what I mean?
Honest, you're on there. And on that note, should we get into our final review?
Let's go. So, Dave, I didn't hate this movie, but I also didn't like it. I like the idea behind it. I love the time traveling aspect of it. I think it's really interesting. It is Assassin's Creed just straight away, gone down the bloodline at a certain point in time for a reason, whatever. I get it. I mean, it's got 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's only got 6 reviewers, but that's probably 8 people have watched the movie now, including me and you. But I think I can get it. I can get that there's a franchise. It's a proper B movie. It's a definitely straight to video type film. But there's something about it. So I will never watch it again. I will be honest, I wouldn't. But I can definitely say I've watched it. Tick it off the box. You didn't do your work this week, Dave. It's not made me go, it's the worst film ever, because it's not. So I'm going to put it in Elm Street. I think a high Elm Street as well. I don't think it's absolutely awful, but it's just pretty crap in a lot of the places. And the plus thing is it's only 76 minutes, so it's not a 3-hour epic. So I do appreciate the fact you picked that. So
that is a good one, isn't it? Not 3-hour Cloud Atlas. But there are still 2 other sequels to watch, Chris. You know, there's Trancers 2, The Return of Jack Death, and Trancers City of Lost Angels, which is weirdly placed in between Trancers 1 and 2. But they're very much still within our time period, so we could see the return of this franchise again at some point.
Yay! Come on, Dave.
No, but Chris, honestly, I think this one for me is, I'm not going to say it's a Cloud City, or I can't even argue a Pleasantville. It's a Hill Valley for me, right in the middle there. I was expecting this age more badly. I know we've spoken about the age gap thing, which makes it age badly. But again, for what this is, this low-budget sci-fi movie, I think this is absolutely a cult movie. So yeah, definitely right in the middle there, Hill Valley. But Chris, so for next week, have I got a trailer for you?
Oh,
so again, I did quite enjoy Gone in 60 Seconds, by the way. That was lovely of you to pick that one. But next week, Chris, we are going with a John Hammond pick. And John isn't one for the faint-hearted movies. He isn't going to skimp on the attempted stitch-ups or whatever. So I have no idea when this movie came out. It's on Shudder now. But Chris, this one is called Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. Now let's get to the trailer. I don't think there's any trailer guy in this either.
No. In a world. This is a horror movie, innit? John Hammond, get in the bin. Well, oh no. Why is it called Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell? No one's got any muscles. No, he's got the muscle there. What is this?
It's in the head by a floating foot.
Oh, that is fucking brilliant. What is this? Fucking hell.
He's that
my
main
God.
bodybuilder, but there you go.
Yeah, he's not a bodybuilder, Dave. He's got muscles, but he's not a bodybuilder.
Japanese Evil Dead. Groovy.
Yeah. Groovy. Oh, the music's going to be intense. Oh, here we go. Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. What the f*** is this? You know what I'm worried about though, Dave? This looks fucking horrendous, but in my head, all I keep thinking of is Spider-Dan and what he's going to pull out the bag to beat John Hammond. That's what I'm worried about now more than this movie.
I think there's definitely some one-upmanship going on here, but that is an interesting one.
That looks brilliant. That music's fantastic.
It is on Plex, so it is on there free. It's probably on YouTube, I imagine, but yeah.
Marvellous. Anyway, if you do want to email us about, karate lessons or surf lessons, we've not had that for a while, email us at the vhsstrikesback@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media at vhsstrikesback. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So, the roll call of honour and a massive thank you to Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Ken, Lucky Luda Green, Herbs, Jack, Math, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. Now, I'll say John Hammond, Dave, but we'll see how that goes next week. But John, for now, you're still a legend. I've been following the escapades while he was over in Prague. And
it looks great, doesn't it?
Well, he did find a contraption that was sent to me on Discord. I asked if he did a bank transfer, but I don't think he's put it in his overhead case. There you go. It solved all my problems, my friend. Shoulder and all. But there you go.
Yeah, there's some interesting pictures from the old sex museum. Is where I think it was. But Chris, great episode this week. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you. For our little musical number, I mean, this film is so 80s. I mean, it's almost Red Dwarf, isn't it? In the effects and everything. So I had to go back to the 80s, and so I have basically tried to create like a little pop song, something that you might find somewhere in the mix of other hits that you've heard of, and this one you've not heard of on Now That's What I Call Music 10 or something like that.
It's about 100 nowadays.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I'm sure I remember having like the fourth one on a cassette tape.
100%.
Yeah, but here we go, Chris. This one is called Dry Hairs for Squids.
What a name!
You can just see this one on top of the pops, can't you?
And big haircut, load of hairspray, Dave. Long trench coat.
Right.
Yeah. 50-year-old man dancing with a 20-year-old girl. See you now.
Jimmy Savile dancing in the background.
Now then.
Gary Glitter up next. Happy Harry, Blondie.
Oh, Debbie, how do you feel to this, Dave?
Yeah, definitely. fade out with a
Like
bit of synth at the end there, Chris. But yeah, just immensely poppy and that early 80s feel as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, that.
But yeah, it just, you can just picture yourself like watching those old Top of the Pops, can't you? But there we go, Chris. I have no idea what angle I will take for next week. But let's get through the movie first, I think. But thank you very much, sir. It's been a lot of fun today. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. It's game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's odd. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right.
Ding, ding.
Bust you up.
Go for it.
Well, here we go. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just stupid. Yeah, maybe you're crazy. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I've seen you at 6 months.